I said, do you even trail, bro? Do you trail? I said, do you even trail, bro?
You got it live?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, so welcome to our podcast. Do you even trail, bro? It's probably gonna be called. Do you even podcast, bro? After we knock out our first podcast, we're a little rusty over here without the proper mics, but we're gonna make it work.
Make this shit happen, bro.
Yeah. So this is our basic intro. You go first.
Yo, what up? I'm Austin with Onewheel Parts. Been working here for like 2-3 years now. Just brought on Jeff. Happy to have him. Lead marketing guy. Shit has been popping off ever since he came along, so we're super happy to have him on here.
Nice. Man, he just introed for me, so we're good. Yep, Jeff Adair, and we're going to talk all about one wheels today. In fact, our show is going to be about trail riding, so pretty much going to be just talking about trails.
Everything trails.
I've been watching one wheel content ever since I've broken into the scene, and I really appreciate what everyone does. And so since then, I've been wanting to break into the podcast/show scene.
No, I mean...
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing One Wheel do a podcast, a bunch of other people, so I think it's time.
Yeah, while we're talking about other people, shout out to the guys that are doing it. Like you said, One Wheel, we got the Pushback Army. I feel like their show is pretty cool. We got Scott, the dude, I was on his channel. He does a live show every Wednesday. So yeah, man, shout out those guys. Paving the way for us.
For real. That's what I'm saying.
All right, so let's do a little introduction to our show. Our show is called Do You Even Trail, Bro? What does that mean? What are we talking about?
I mean, do you even ride trails? That's essentially what it boils down to.
I do.
This show, I do. I love trails, man. That's the lifeblood of the sport, you know?
Exactly.
So,
yeah, we're trying to grow the sport. So we want to bring awareness to trails. We want people that don't ride trails necessarily maybe be introduced to the thought and to go out there and ride trails. And we are going to tell you basic info on how to do so, things you need, new things that maybe come into the scene, rail-wise, tire-wise, different techniques on how to ride.
New products that come into the market, you know, tips and tricks videos, sort of like sessions, clinics, whatever you want to call it. Just basically getting more people to ride trails is the goal of this, you know?
Do you even trail, bro? It's all right there. So, basic intro, done. The next thing on our agenda is what is our goal with the show? We kind of covered that already, but let's go ahead and just re-say it one more time. What is the goal for the show?
Dive a little bit deeper, you know. So this show is going to basically be all about trails. Whether you're an experienced trail rider or new to the scene or even just want to start riding trails. You don't even have a board yet. You're just watching this because it came up on your recommended. I mean, riding trails is what we think One Wheel's all about. That's what it should be all about. So we'd love to introduce this to new people. People maybe who aren't as experienced with trails up to where they want to be.
And when I first got into one wheeling, I didn't ride trails. Like I first just got into it riding the street because I was a skateboarder. So I didn't even really know about trails at first.
Yeah, so, that's what I did. The first 6 months I rode, I went on grass, but there was no. I'd love to go on trails, but I didn't know the resources. I didn't know there were trails near me. I didn't know the group even did trail rides, you know?
Exactly.
It was just only street, and I wish I had found it sooner.
And that's when you really begin to have, I think, more fun because I feel like in street, there's a point, unless you continue to like learn street tricks and really push yourself that way, I think there's eventually a kind of a plateau on just riding and carving street. I feel like you almost have to elevate and evolve into a trail riding game because then that's going to offer just years and years of learning and fun. I mean, you're shredding trails of all sorts of different difficulties. And so, I mean, it's just never ending.
Yeah, I mean, on a street, you either got a smooth road or a bumpy road. But there's your two options. I mean, trails, you have soft, hard-packed clay. You have sandy trails. You have trails with roots and obstacles. You have trails that the top is literally just a bunch of crushed rocks. I mean, you have big turns, berms, elevation changes. You just don't get that with street. It's just not, it's not the same.
Drink break. All right. Let's go into our questionnaire for our panel here.
Yeah.
Let's start with Austin. How long have you been trail riding?
Trail riding? I mean, so I've been riding for probably around 2.5, 3 years. Trail riding for 2-3 years of those. So basically I've been riding trails the entire time except for the first 6 months. And
sick.
Yeah.
The dude's been shredding trails. He's having too many drinks. All right, so
Well, how long have you been riding, Jeff?
Well, we're gonna go through 3 questions with you, and then we're gonna go back the same questions.
You don't want to just throw it back to back to back to back, you know?
That probably makes more sense.
Yeah.
I hate when he's
That way it
wasting.
flows a little
He
bit
is smarter,
better,
so I got to
you
go
know?
with him sometimes. Okay. How long have you been trail riding? All right, so in February, will be 2 years on the board every day. I've been riding for a little less time. However, I've been riding a lot during that time.
A lot.
Yeah. And so with the trail riding, I want to say in February, I had already kind of been acclimated to like my son's pint. I bought my son a pint in like in October for his birthday. And I literally would only ride it like around my house because it was the pint. It was the pint. It can only go, I think, like 6 miles.
Classic.
But yeah, I rode around my house, and so by the time I made my purchase, I'd already kind of like researched around, like, and saw people like riding different terrains. I think on YouTube, the Float Life, they're always riding on gnarly, cool, dusty trails by the ocean, and I'm like, dude, those are sick. And so when I got mine, I actually looked up like trail, and the first trail, I'll even show you this picture. My first like gnarly wound was on a straight walking trail. It's over there in Rowlett where you like go like 2 miles and it comes to a dead end. You go back. That was like the first taste of trail riding, and it wasn't even like an official mountain bike trail. It's literally like a walking trail that I was trying to go the same speed that I was going on concrete on this trail, and it was for the most part very capable of doing so until I did hit some rough terrain, and this is where I got this.
Yeah, that is gnarly, man. Holy shit.
You can barely
You even
see it,
still got
but
the scar.
it was all this. It ate my skin off.
Cow.
But yeah, so ever since that day, man, I really got into it. And to elaborate even more, but one of my favorite trails, just because I've rode so much there and it's 10 minutes from my house, is the Rowlett Creek Preserve. And one cool thing about this trail, and this is gonna kind of go into some other topics later on, but when I was riding this trail, I actually like met Fuser, who ended up being my mentor and is just one of the fastest one-wheelers in Texas.
Oh yeah.
And I was able to like literally like small world just meet this guy on this trail. That's my mentor right there. That's how I got fast right here. And man, it really like made me not only elevate my game, but kind of showed me a whole nother world of trail riding because yeah, I mean, I was gonna have to just learn it on my own, but I've met someone that was like really into it. And so they were able to like really expedite my learning, my insight on the overall craft and so on.
Well, that's funny you say that. My first ever trail was at RCP, Rowlett Creek Preserve. Yeah. And it was with Fuser. Funny enough.
Shut the front door.
Yeah.
Seriously, the front door is open now.
First
Can we
time.
close it? Okay, we're back.
First time I ever rode a trail was at RCP, and it was a ride that Fuser was leading. And yeah.
Fuser has,
and he basically took
his name in the history books of Dallas, Texas one-wheelers.
No, he is the OG trail rider, for sure.
Okay. Feather out the hat. Good job there, buddy.
Yeah, and no, I had a very similar experience to you. I tried to keep up with him immediately, and as soon as I hit some rough terrain...
You're going in... That's later on. That's
later on? Oh,
yes,
shit.
Because of course we're going to say, how do you get good at trail riding?
I'm jumping the gun.
Jumping the gun. That's great. How often do you currently ride, average per week?
Well, that's a bit of a touchy subject. Not enough is going to be the correct answer. So I usually ride maybe twice, 3 times a week, and maybe only 1 or 2 of those is trails.
Can you ball your fist up and just
like,
punch yourself? Or punch me, just punch me.
I used to ride at trails every day, 15 miles, for about 2 or 3 months, and I'll tell you what, that was the best I'd ever been at trail riding. Was when I was consistently working on it every day. But, you know, we got busy with orders and stuff like that. We recently just hired on a young boy named Matson.
Oh, nice.
To come help us out. He's another really good local shredder.
Okay.
Rides a ton of trails, super creative, does all this crazy shit with his board, DIY stuff. So
is that the dude that did the tail rails?
Yeah, that's the dude.
GT?
He took an angle grinder to his GT rails, sawed them, and then re-welded them to be tail rails because
get out of here.
Somebody wasn't making tail rails fast enough for him. So shout out to the community, you know.
Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Badger, we love you. All right. So
how about you? How much do you ride, Jeff?
Dude, I am an insane maniac. I do have no shame. Yes, I ride every day. Yes, I ride too much. I don't give a D. All right.
He's a maniac.
No, minimum. I feel good if I'm killing 2 boards per day. And like when I say kill, I don't mean like making them like ruining them. I mean just like killing the battery. So that's on the average about 20 miles. 10 miles per GT. If I get 2 of those in, I'm feeling good.
Hell yeah. And that's really where everyone should be, I think.
Yeah.
You know, if you really want to get good, get progressed, learn your skills, 20 miles a day every day.
Yeah.
Or even 10 miles a day every day. If 20 is too much, just make sure it's every day.
That's the key.
That's consistency.
Yes. They're gonna do a count. They're doing a count on your drinks.
Yeah.
They're doing a count on drinks.
Drinking game. Every time I take a drink, you guys got to take a drink.
Yes. And if you're watching this in the morning, that's your own fault.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
you don't have you're not good with timing.
We're not responsible for any poisonings that happen because of this.
You should be riding anyway.
Yeah. Why are you watching a podcast? Go.
It's a show.
Why are you watching a show? Go out and ride.
And we're calling it a show because we have like the cool skits in here.
Yeah.
And we're doing like different things. We kind of edit it a little bit, make it fun.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what? Let's cut to the skit right now. Let's show you guys what we got.
you did that so good. Proud of you. Take a drink for me.
Yeah. There we go. Cheers, everybody.
What is this? This is not Ignite foam grip tape. What is this shit? Oh. Dude! What is this? This is not Ignite foam grip. What is this stock shit? Dude, I came in bonk with this. I'm gonna fall off. Can't lock in. This is Twilight Zone. Where is the foam grip? What is this, 1984? What? I'm never gonna win Race for the Rails with this shit. Out of stock. No foam grip tape.
All right, so man, that was hilarious. That skit.
Dang,
I mean,
I can't believe
you
it.
guys are gonna like. We kind of both wrote that. Brad, watch out. We're gonna probably be going to Saturday Night Live pretty soon. All right, as writers, bro.
But yeah, no, on the cool. Shout out Brad Jennings because he founded Onewheel Parts. He created this. I mean, he brought me along for the journey, and I'm super glad about that.
Well, while we're here, I'm super grateful as well. I was able to change my life pretty much into stressful shooting all sorts of videos to just awesome one-wheel content. So, Brad, I owe you a lot of stuff.
For real.
Like, stuff like that made me happy, so I owe you stuff that makes you happy. So, just get back at me.
Living the dream now.
All right, so what are your favorite kind of trails?
My favorite kind of trails? So, I think I'm in the minority when I say I like very slow trails, but extremely technical trails. So if you're not like having to drop off of a bunch of crazy shit or balance on stuff to even navigate the trail, it's not my favorite. I love just insanely technical, hard to do stuff.
Well, we found out why Austin don't ride trails a lot. Okay, unfortunately, he gets hurt every time. I'm just kidding.
Just a little bit.
I'm
just
kidding.
a little bit.
So that's what's up. Like, so give me some context of like some trails that are around here that we both know very well, like that you're talking
So
about.
the sort of the north part of North Shore.
Okay.
That upper section where it's just like super technical. It does have some fast flowy parts, but I mean, they've got 20-foot technical, really steep downhill rock gardens that you have to navigate, or tons of roots and stuff that you're having to immediately dodge, ride over.
I've rode there.
Stuff like that, yeah.
I would describe them as not navigating, but walks in the park.
Okay. Maybe if, it walks in the park because you're walking your board through it, you know? That may be where you're at on those.
That's a good one.
But hey,
you recovered that really well. Good job. You know what? I'm gonna have to say that we're both from Texas, and the trails here are kind of flat. And so, because of that, I actually prefer the trails that Austin rides. And speaking of North Shore, Irwin, and DFW, North Texas, those are more of the difficult trails that are around our area. But because we're in such a flat area, like we push ourselves, and that's where we ride. Because some of the other trails in this area are seriously the easiest trails you probably would ever go to. Without the hills. They are so flowy. Like you hear like when you go to North Carolina or these cool places, you're like, oh, this trail is so flowy, but it ends up being like super like rocky and rooty and technical. No, these trails in Dallas are straight flowy for real.
Flat,
but they don't have the hilly. They don't have the hills.
Yeah, no, I mean, take River Legacy for example. It's literally just hard packed clay, smooth.
But you can go 25 to 30 easy
the whole time. It's a super easy, and those are I think trails people should begin riding on. You know, you don't have to start on a super technical trail. You still have to learn how dirt feels under your board. It's very different than concrete. So those smooth, flowy trails, if you can find some, those are great to get started on. Yeah, for sure. So what are some of the first things you should know when it's your first time on the trail? Yeah, so the first thing obviously is watch out for bikers and pedestrians. We as a sport, I think we need to address, we are third on the chopping block. Bikes have priority, pedestrians, and then us at the bottom. So if you hear a bike or see a pedestrian, please slow down, move out of the way. We don't want to be kicked off of these trails. Good trail etiquette is something that we need to work on, I think, for sure. Especially if we're bringing a bunch of new people in, it's something we need to address. You know, I mean, these are established trails, established biking communities. And all of a sudden a bunch of new people show up and are constantly getting in the way or ruining the trails or doing stuff they shouldn't supposed to. That could be very frustrating, and they just outright ban us. And then once one city bans it, the rest will follow like dominoes. So trail etiquette is a very big, important thing. Yeah, and let me, I guess, go in on that as well, because when I first started riding trails, I came from like riding skateboards and you know, having that mentality almost like in my mind subconsciously from being a teenager, like having that rebellious kind of thing, right? Exactly. And so when I first started around the trails, a lot of the OG guys were like, dude, you got to wear a helmet. Like I literally was riding the trails at the beginning with no helmet. And so just on that same note, I sometimes see other people starting off and like, I don't need a helmet. And I see them on social media and it's like, it's a bad look for us as a whole, because here are these mountain bike guys that are fully padded up. It's dangerous. They're well aware of what could happen. They're riding in the trails. And then they see these new people with no helmets. It's a bad look overall. So, of course, we know you're tough. We know you don't need it. We know you know how to fall. I was one of those people. Once you push yourself to the professional level of the sport, when you run into a tree, you could die. So impaled. Exactly. That actually happened on at River Legacy to a mountain biker during a one-wheel ride. Passed us going slow, went around a corner, dude fell down going like 2 miles an hour, and there was a stick poking up, like a root of a tree. Punctured his heart, and he died right there in front of everyone. Steve Irwin. Nothing you can do. Yeah, it was, so please, don't underestimate the trails. Sorry about the Steve Irwin comment. Anyway, yeah, for sure. Rest in peace, Steve. Rest in peace. You were an OG, seriously. Like, you are the dude. No, he really was. So yeah, like, I just want you guys to know that, like, coming into it, if you're fresh starting out, go ahead and get gear, man. I know how it is, dude. Oh, you don't need it, this, that, and other. Just go ahead and know that you're going to push yourself to the place that you do need it. All right, so go ahead and gear up. It's hot, it's dorky, but skin knees are more hot and more dorky. So yeah. That's all I gotta say. I wasn't talking about knee pads. Screw those up if you want. Damn! It's all about the helmet and probably the wrist guards. But elbow and knee, it's like if your fashion stance, if your fashion don't like allow that, then do you, buddy. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Water in the elbows feels great. Fxction Gear is what we actually carry at Onewheel Parks. Shout out Fxction wrist guards, man. They are some of the best in the game, I believe. The best. Shout out to Dave. Tahoe Dave, he actually has won Race for the Rail 1 or 2 years. Yeah, I think so. And he's the creator, the CEO of Fxction. Every big name one-wheel rider, racer wears Fxction. It's a pretty tight fam, so let's help support them and blow them up. I mean, it was designed by a professional one-wheeler for professional one-wheelers. So it doesn't really get any better than that. No, it don't get. Hands down, best in the game. I'm asking Santa for some. That's what I'm saying.
All right, what are some items that would be good to have like in your bag, like on the trail? Like say you've never went trail riding, you're about to go trail riding, like what's in your bag?
Yeah, so aside from trail etiquette, I would definitely bring some water. You never know when you're going to get thirsty. And tire pressure. I think that's a really good place to start because everyone's always talking about it. What exactly is...
What do you mean tire? Like the tire is under pressure to like perform well?
Yeah, so on street, people pump it up really high to get better range. But on trails, you're going over bumpy terrain and you don't have suspension. So the lower your tire pressure is, that's your suspension basically.
So basically, if I'm riding on the street, I don't even know what my PSI is. It's just what it is.
Bring a
if
tire
I'm
pressure
going to the
gauge.
trail, I'm just going to probably bring it down.
Yeah, so I'd bring it down, depending on your weight, anywhere between 10 to 15 is always a good starting point. Higher is going to be better to start with, just to get comfortable. Lower is obviously going to be a bit more skill-oriented, but yeah, I mean, bring a tire pressure gauge every time you go, because you never know what your PSI is going to be at.
So what you're recommending to have on the trail would be the water, and then also maybe a cool air pressure gun thing. I used to have one. It was like $60, but it was amazing because when I would get there, sometimes I would take too much air out maybe. And when I'm on the trail, I'm having maybe speed wobbles. It's feeling a little...
too mushy.
Too mushy is exactly the word I was looking for. And so I'd need to put it back in, some air back in. So with these cool little guns, you can hook it up to your tire and then see what your tire is and tell it what it needs to be. And so like Austin said, he goes for, you said 10 to 15?
Usually. I would recommend that.
Yeah, in fact, that's where I started. I started around 10, and currently around the trails here in Dallas, I run about 15.
Yeah, it just depends on your environment and your skill level. Also, grip tape brush.
Oh, yeah.
If it gets muddy out there, grip tape doesn't do well when you get it muddy. It basically becomes a slip and slide. So if you have a brush to brush that off, we actually sell those at onewheelparts.com.
Sick. Yeah. All right, so we have water, we have an air pump, and we have grip tape brush.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, what do you think? Is that?
I mean, I'm thinking tunes. Me personally, I'm thinking tunes, but actually don't bring it because etiquette-wise, you want to know what's going on.
Correct.
So you could do the one ear in, one ear out.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people do, I see. Especially on the street, too. They do one ear in, one ear out, because you never know if...
It helps you send it. Yeah. It kind of does.
It really does. I mean,
you put some heavy stuff on, you're rocking. I don't even care if I get hurt right now.
Put your Flow State playlist on and just ride.
Flow State. That sounds way too zen. Put on some freaking, like, death metal.
See, that's too aggressive, you know?
All right, whatever. All right, so we've talked about water. We've talked about a tire gauge. We've talked about a grip tape brush.
What happens if you get a flat?
Dude, I was supposed to introduce this. Anyway, he's jumping the gun. He's introducing tire candy. Take it away, boys.
Oh, this is all you, bro.
Okay, Tommy. All right, so check it out. Right when I jumped into the scene, I knew nothing about tire sealant besides Fix-A-Flat because, like, back in the day, I would get the $40 used tires from Hams, you know? It might go flat. Throw some Fix-A-Flat in there, you know? But that was after the problem. Yeah. We're talking about before the problem. Every one-wheel tire needs it.
Preventative maintenance.
Boom, tire candy. Why do we call it tire candy? Well, look at it. We're cutting to the B-roll right here. See it? It's like blue, green, yellow. Can you break down the science of those three liquids?
So our tire candy our tire sealant is a little bit different than others. We've taken a blend of a few different ones that we've experimented with and basically gotten the perfect viscosity to plug level ratio right in there. If it's too liquidy and it doesn't have enough solids in there to seal the tire, it's just going to all spurt out. And if it's too much plug agent, then it's just going to gum up and create a bunch of balls in there, and it's just not going to be a good look. So we've sort of formulated and tested a perfect tri-blend ratio.
Brad was in there. He had goggles. He had the white jacket. He was up in there for like days, dude. It was crazy. Like smoke and stuff.
We figured out the perfect blend for tire candy.
Yeah. And thanks to Walter White. That drop was this shit.
You kids want some candy?
That's how you do it right there.
Yeah.
Hey guys, have y'all seen Lil Jeff? oh my dude, get off the boy, get off the bed, bro.
Let's do a freestyle question. Let's do something like that's not on this.
Yeah.
What is your perfect setup on the trail? Like, what is your board? What's like? Tell me your board setup. What's your setup?
So what I usually rock is since I'm still on the XR, not everybody has embraced the GT yet, so GT coming soon for me. Anyway, though, I'm rocking a stock front foot pad, a Cobra in the rear with our hexagon grip tape with the foam, the 2mm. 2mm foam on the front. Yeah, it's so nice. It really locks you in on the trails, especially for those smaller bumps. You just don't got to worry about your feet moving around. I'm rocking the Trail Pro, usually at around 10 to 11 PSI, and no fender, because fenders are weird.
Yeah, I'm doing the no fender too. So currently I'm rocking a GT, Enduro GT tire, GT rim, stock everything as far as foot pads, and I got the 4mm foam Ignite grip tape. And Race for the Rail just happened. It was cool. I actually just did the 4mm in the front and the 2 in the back, which is actually like vice versa what people normally do.
Yeah.
And it felt really great. So what do you think the future holds for one-wheeling as a sport?
I think the future is looking very bright, honestly. Especially with how Race for the Rail has been going these past few years. I mean, every year it just gets more and more popular. I believe you were actually featured on a commercial on ESPN that Onewheel put out for Race for the Rail as an advertisement. So it's definitely
they used it in one of our intros.
Yeah, it's definitely growing as a sport, and I think trail riding is going to be the place where the sport actually is. I mean, there's not going to be street races on it. Anyone can just go fast on the street. There's no challenge to it. It's just pushing the limitations of the board. This race course this year at Race for the Rail really pushed the limitations of the riders, I think, a lot more than the limitations of the board.
I agree. Yeah, like in the past, they've had like a lot more just like Hail Mary races down fire roads, and
exactly.
You know, this is year like 3 or 4 for them, so they're trying to elevate their stuff. But I'm really excited about it because I'm all about vibes, and the vibe I'm getting, you know, it's the ESPN. It's like you saw the commercial on ESPN. I see how they're broadcasting, how they're filming it, and what it does for me, it reminds me of when ESPN2 just jumped on the scene and they had like all sorts of new races being filmed and televised.
They had like X Games and stuff.
They had all that. They had dirt bikes. They had rally cars. They had all these cooler racing kind of avenues that you never saw anywhere. And I feel like we would be right there.
Yeah, no, we would be right there next to the BMX trials or the skateboarding. I mean, skateboarding's in the Olympics now.
Skateboarding just got to the Olympics. And when I was a kid, it was like the X Games was the big thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is Onewheel's on X Games mode, bro.
Yeah, I see like the future with one-wheeling. I feel like we're gonna go to more of a shocks on our board, maybe higher PSI on the tires, so the tires can be more performance, and we're probably gonna be racing 30 to 40 miles an hour. Yeah, I feel like that's where it's going. We're gonna be doing jumps. We're gonna have some sort of overlander, flight fins, wing system. And we're gonna be going over doubles, and I mean it's gonna get there.
People are gonna be doing flips and shit. It's gonna be wild. Once they add bindings to them, I think this sport is really gonna take off.
And it's cool to be at the start of it, man.
Exactly. I mean, you are all riders, and you're pioneers of this sport right now. You guys are some of the first, so consider yourselves lucky.
All right, so I want to kind of evolve this story a little bit. It's cool because, like I said a minute ago, Austin and I we ride in a very flat area. And so very early on, our mentor said, hey, look, man, you're going to have to travel to Arkansas to get it in with some mountains, any sort of mountains. Like there's no mountains here. So if you want to go and race in Cali and North Carolina and stand up to these other guys that ride daily on these elevated terrains, then you're going to have to at least go to Arkansas once a month and really shred it up.
Yeah, practice.
Exactly.
Practice the terrain you're going to ride.
Exactly. And so with Fuser, he took, I think you as well.
Yeah.
He took us to Arkansas and introduced us to Nick and Rachel Payne, who have dirt surfers.
Yeah. They do the dirt surfers race.
They do the dirt surfers race, and they're actually Nick's part of the ORL committee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. He's going to be our special guest on this first show.
Yeah. Excited to have him.
Yeah, it's like, okay, if we're talking about introducing trails to people, if we're introducing this show about trails to people, let's introduce who introduced us to gnarlier terrain. We're from North Texas. There are no mountains. First time I ever went to Arkansas. Shout out to Nick and Rachel. They showed us around. So
sounds good. Let's cut to the interview.
Yeah, my name's Nick Payne. We're from North Texas. Rachel is my wife. We got into one-wheeling around my 40th birthday. Rachel got me one. We come from mountain biking. I've always ridden bikes, raced BMX when I was younger, and then Rachel got me the one wheel for my 40th birthday. And after I was riding it for I think a couple of weeks, she decided, I came home from work actually, and she was on the one wheel. And she was like, I want to ride the one wheel today, and that's when we figured out we better get another one wheel. We shortly after that went on a trip, and that was our first trail riding experience. On that trip, right after we got our one wheels, we did see videos of Jeff McCosker and Ray Kell on trails. So after I saw that, and I knew that it's almost a mix of your mountain biking skill, picking out a line with your snowboarding, I knew that it was something that I wanted to do because I love all board sports.
You wake skated too a lot, right?
Wake skate, wake surf, wakeboard, snowboard. I skateboarded a little bit when I was younger. I saw a fellow one-wheeler who had a treaded tire, and he was a guy that he was part of the DFW group. He was from North Texas, close to where I was. And he said, hey, if you want to get a treaded tire, you got to become part of One Wheel DFW. You can then link up with Jimmy Parman, who was like the godfather of our one wheel group. He took care of everybody. He made sure everybody had a one wheel. On a group ride, we would meet up at his place. He changed out my tires, all of our first treaded tires. I believe he even gave us our first treaded tire that we had. But he changed them out. We started riding with the group. We rode on the group rides, but me and Rachel really always liked being on the trails. Foozer also was a trail guy, so we would link up with him, come to Bentonville, ride on the trails in Dallas, some on the weekends too. When we would go to the group rides, before or after the group ride, we would go ride on some of the trails in Dallas. Then we just started coming here and we never looked back, really. I mean, we're still part of the One Wheel DFW. I feel like we're estranged somewhat because we come up here so much, but all of those guys have I got mad respect for all of them, and they all help us with our race. So I think it's full circle how everything, I mean, the whole crew, the whole One Wheel DFW crew helps us out with the race. So Joel and Bogey helps me with all the signs. And I've actually known Bogey probably longer than I've known anybody in the group. And it was when I became part of the group, I didn't know he was a part of the group. And then we figured out we were both in the group. And he comes from a motorcycle background. I had a lot of friends that raced motorcycles, and I ran around with those guys. And that's how I know Bogey. He makes all of our signs and helps us with a lot of stuff, and his family helps us with the race as well. So
shout out to you guys.
Yeah, we actually did come to Bentonville with a group of mountain bikers on a trip, and a friend of mine paid for us to have a guide here in Bentonville, and we brought the one wheels with us. Rachel hurt her ankle on the first day when we were out mountain biking, and I was really wanting to try the one wheel on the trails here in Bentonville with all the berms and everything. Didn't know if we were able to or if we should do it. Like, I didn't know if they would let us. There was no problem with that. From the start, it seemed like everybody was cool with it, and the guy that was actually our mountain bike guide, his name was Dustin Slaughter, and I talked him into going one-wheeling with me, even though he had never ridden a one-wheel. Still to this day, he picked up the one-wheel faster than anybody that I've ever shown how to one-wheel. He rode down All-American on day one of one-wheeling, so I thought that was...
Board experience?
Oh yeah, he has some board experience, and he's a really good mountain biker as well. But I believe he has some wakeboard and snowboard experience. But we weren't going like crazy fast or anything, but we were both, making it down everything. And we brought our one wheels back to Bentonville, and we would see Dustin every now and then I figured out he had a racing series here in Arkansas, and I said, hey, why don't we do a one wheel race that's similar to your mountain bike race? That you know, an enduro style race, and he said we could just do it the day after the mountain bike race and see what happens. And we got a lot of the one wheel DFW guys came over here, and they helped us out and supported us. We had 40 or 50 people, mostly from Texas. We did have Austin and Dama and some other folks that came, but that was the first dirt surfers in Eureka Springs. And after that, the next year we did the same thing. We had it the day after the bike race, and it seemed to work good, but then last year was way better. We had the whole weekend to ourselves there at Eureka at the Passion Play, and we all got to have 2 days, 2 full days, 3 days of just shredding those trails and racing on those trails.
Yeah. Now I want to say thank you, because like those trails are literally what's got me primed for all the trails that came after that, the California trails, the North Carolina trails. So yeah, dude, like I'm in Texas, it's very flat, and yeah, thank you for
this is where we go. We're right there with you, Jeff. This is where we like to come to ride. This is where we this is our home away from home.
Exactly.
For sure. Well, I mean, I think if you ride a one wheel, you should go for it. You should try to ride the trails. It's not going to be easy, but when you first started learning how to one wheel, that wasn't easy either. And then you just kept doing it. You got better at it. Before you know it, you're making it over that rock you never made it over. Before you know it, you're making it up that hill you didn't think you could make it up. And then you're going down that hill faster. Then you're figuring out how to go over stuff instead of around stuff. At first, when you're starting, you dodge everything, and then you figure out, hey, I can go over this or that. And you figure out the fastest line. Then before you know it, you're racing a one wheel. It is exciting to have one wheel supporting us throughout this race experience. We are one wheel dealers as well, and even the very first dirt surfers, one wheel gave us products to give away and helped us with swag. And throughout this, they've always helped us out. We appreciate that, and we've also, you know, they've reciprocated and asked us to help them with some of their racing and be part of this One Wheel Racing League committee. They ask us to come to every race, and we're helping with decisions on the track. We're looking at video in slow motion. We did that at Race for the Rail. We did that at the Eastern and Western qualifier. Actually, we had to revert back to video evidence and put stuff in slow motion, and we were looking at, you know, who crosses the line first with their board. We've implemented some rules about winning a race, and you have to be on your board. You have to cross the line on your board. Some people question that. Some people think, you know, your hands could count or whatever, but when it comes down to two people head to head, it doesn't make sense if somebody could just jump off their board across the finish line out in front of the other person and win the race, because that, you know, feasibly you could do that if you're just going off of who crosses the line with their body first. So there's some stuff like that we're still working on, and we're still learning as we're going from each event. And I think at every event something different happens that makes you think, oh well, we didn't think about that situation. So we're pivoting as we need to and trying to make it just a better sport all around.
Oh yeah. So where do you think the future of one wheeling is going,
Man, it seems to be going in the right direction. I think working with the ORL and working with some of the other races, they're talking about having more of the races, more of the community races be involved with the ORL. Any kind of one-wheel racing that's legit racing with legit timing should be considered to be a part of it, just for the purpose of getting people from all over the country involved in this and pushing forward and just making it bigger.
Oh, that's a good answer, man. So lastly, man, you're married to, you know, Race for the Rail just happened. Rachel Payne just finished 3rd place, so she's the 3rd ranked rider in the nation right now. How is it riding? Like, what do y'all train every day? Like,
Yeah, we're mainly riding on the weekends, and like this is a 3-day weekend, so we posted up here at the RV park in Bella Vista, and you know, riding 30 to 40 miles per day every day till dark. But during the week, we're resting up, getting ready for the next weekend. We do travel to other spots in Northwest Arkansas, but this is where we like to come. We can come here, and you feel like you're a lot farther away from home, and you get to ride in these awesome trails.
Yeah, these trails are sick. That's not a bad idea. Like, I'm in North Texas. I ride every day, but I get hurt sometimes on the easy trails. It would be nice to have like that recoup time every week, so every time Friday comes around, you're hitting the trails, the gnarly trails, you're 100% again.
Right.
I like that idea.
And I think it helps Rachel also a little bit with turning it on and turning it off, because she does have to do that quite a bit when we're traveling to these other locations and racing. You know, we'll go a week that week without riding, and then she has to go out there and practice and then race the next day. So we're almost mimicking that on a weekend, kind of.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
And then when we're riding, you know, especially when we're with a group of guys like yourself, or you know, just a group of any, you know, you get people together and everybody's going faster, and that helps her as well, because she's starting to, she needs to go faster than I go. So
for sure. All right, so thank you, Nick.
Send
it.
Let's go.
All right, so let's do an outro. All right, so that's our show. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, and just go ride.
That's really it. Like, literally, don't even sweat. Like, not having the air pump, not having water. Like, just drink some at the house and like just get on the trail, dude. Literally. That's the biggest thing you can do. Just go ride. Go ride in the grass if you don't have any trails. But just for the love of God, get off the pavement. Get off. And so yeah, subscribe. Please turn on your notifications. Every week we will be uploading a new show with all sorts of goodies in it and insight packed in there. So heck yeah. Sweet deal. Well, thanks for coming out, guys. Do you even trail, bro?
I said, do you even trail, bro? Do you trail? I said, do you even trail, bro?